Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Virtual DLF Forum. My name is Jennifer Arevalo Ferretti. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the director of the Digital Library Federation, known as DLF, a program of the Council on Library and Information Resources, known as CLEAR. Thank you so much for choosing to gather and learn together virtually over the next couple of days. This is the second time we're gathering this year, the first being in person at Michigan State University in July. We're excited to welcome nearly 700 registrants to the virtual forum. I hope you've updated your Zoom desktop client, created a comfortable space, and are able to snooze notifications, at least partly, over the next 2 days. I'd also like to invite you to check out our wellness breaks, which include a writing meditation, crafts, and self-guided meditation and massage. Captions are available in all sessions, including this one, by selecting the captions option on your Zoom control panel, which is located at the bottom of your meeting window. We're going to be mentioning the Zoom control panel quite a bit throughout the next 2 days. If there's a feature that you don't see in the control panel, click More to see all. We are meeting virtually for this event, and I'd like to mention that CLEAR and DLF operate remotely year-round. For these reasons, we'd like to recognize the impact of the carbon footprint of technologies, which disproportionately impacts Indigenous communities. I'm currently living and working on the unceded land of the Susquehannock, Nantigo, Nanticoke, and Piscataway peoples known as Baltimore, Maryland. We invite you to learn whose land you live on by visiting native-land.ca. DLF is a community of practitioners who advance research, learning, social justice, and the public good through the creative design and wise application of digital library technologies. One of the ways we support our mission is through the DLF Forum. I want to highlight the invaluable contributions of our working groups, both past and present, as their efforts in areas like assessment, equity and inclusion, digital library pedagogy, project management, born digital access, climate justice, digital accessibility, and many others have been instrumental in supporting our mission. And now a word from CLEAR's president, Charles Henry.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Virtual DLF Forum. I'm Chuck Henry, president of CLEAR, and it's always a great pleasure to acknowledge the ideas and planning that goes into these events. A special shout out to the working groups who provide a particularly special energy and guidance to the proceedings. And thank you as always for your great work. This forum is virtual, and it is virtual because of your recommendations and requests. We are striving to increase our flexibility. It's somewhat experimental. We'd be interested in, certainly interested in to learn what you think of how this works. Also, your concerns about cost effectiveness and a smaller footprint environmentally have gone into this decision. And looking over the program, as usual, it's timely and evocative. There are some very interesting sessions on artificial intelligence. There is a session on taming unruly digital library terminology. And I can tell you from long experience, this is an ongoing conversation. There's a lovely introductory plenary on the HBCU Digital Library Trust, which we hold as a very passionately as a part of CLEAR, and a tremendous partnership that we have been working on for a number of years with the HBCU libraries. There's also a presentation that looks at a future, and the author thinks that the future sounds a bit more like AM radio and feels more like morning sickness. So definitely a session to dial into. And there are many more like that, again, timely and thought-provoking and educative, and again, just a testament to everyone's energy and ideas. In conclusion, I'd also like to acknowledge Jenny Ferretti, working with Jenny Ferretti over the last several years. Jenny has provided a wonderful leadership to DLF and to the forum. She has brought wisdom and insight into everything that she's done with us and for us, and we will miss her. But also, I want to wish her all the best as she moves on to the Director of Archives at the Texas After Violence Project. So Jenny, best of luck. Thank you, and thanks again to everyone for your energy and for your engagement.
Thank you, Chuck. Lizzie Albert, Kathy Azevedo, Jennifer Cummings, and I will be facilitating sessions over the next 2 days. If you have any questions during the event, please feel free to DM one of us on Zoom events. Messages posted to the lobby chat are public, but that option is available to you as well. You'll also see one of us in each session, so please feel free to DM us in session as well. And you can also email us at forum@diglib.org. As a reminder, the forum and all DLF events are guided by our code of conduct and are meant to be free from all forms of harassment and welcome to all people. You can find more information at www.diglib.org/code. Thank you for helping to keep our community safe, open, and respectful. I'd like to recognize the folks in our community who help make our events possible, which includes the Forum Planning Committee. Our volunteer planning committee is composed of the program committee, community committee, and reviewers who all contribute to crucial tasks and decisions for this event's success. The people whose names you see on the screen have helped us review and decide what goes into the program you'll be enjoying for the next couple of days. They also reviewed the program for the in-person DLF Forum in July as well. And they've helped us plan social and wellness events to keep this conference balanced, inclusive, and fun. So it really goes without saying that this event would not be possible without the dedication of our planning committee. Thank you all. We're also so grateful to our colleagues at CLEAR who support the DLF Forum in ways large and small. From processing payments to checking links to make sure they look right, all these folks contributed to this event and we're so grateful. And I have to give a special shout out to Aaliyah Reich, Program Manager for Conferences and Events, who has been on parental leave since the end of August. And between the moment we decided to host a virtual forum and until she went on leave, she did an incredible amount of work for this event. Thank you so much, Aaliyah. I'd like to recognize and share gratitude for the 2024 DLF Forum sponsors. Their partnership helps support coffee breaks, featured speakers, meals, swag, technology, and so much more. Thank you to this year's sponsors. Gold and in-person lanyard sponsor, AM Cortex. Gold sponsor, For Science. Silver and in-person swag sponsor, Tind. Silver sponsors Eastview Information Services and Wiki Education. Silver sponsors Recollect and Locks, and bronze sponsor LibNova. This event could not happen without our sponsors. It's easy to find and learn more about our sponsors by going to exhibitors and/or expo in the upper right corner of the lobby. If you enter a company's booth in the expo, you can chat with a representative and even meet with them over Zoom video. We're continuing the tradition of shared note-taking for each session. To collaborate on session notes, head over to our shared notes folder on Google Drive by going to bit.ly/virtual2024notes, all caps, and navigate to the day and session number. We'll also share the doc link in the chat of each session. All presenters are encouraged to make their slides and materials available on our online repository, which can be found at osf.io/meeting/virtual-DLF2024, all caps. And now I'm excited that we've reached the point where we'll hear from Andrea Jackson Gavin, our featured speaker. We'll take questions sent via the Q&A feature on your Zoom control panel. Feel free to drop a question there at any point during the talk. And now a little bit about Andrea. Andrea Jackson Gavin, she, her, is a devoted member of her family, friend, server of her community, staunch HBCU advocate, and program director of the HBCU Digital Library Trust. Before joining Harvard Library in this role, she served in several capacities at the Atlanta University Center Robert W. Woodruff Library, including Director of Engagement and Scholarship, grant writer and administrator, and head of the Archives Research Center. Jackson Gavin was previously the executive director of the Black Metropolis Research Consortium, based at the University of Chicago Libraries, where she led consortium activities to support preservation, digitization, accessibility, and collection acquisitions on African American history in the Chicagoland area. A proud alumna of Spelman College and New York University with an MA degree in U.S. history and certification in archival management, She participated in the Archives Leadership Institute, the Harvard Graduate School of Education Leadership Institute for Academic Librarians, and was honored as a 2018 Fellow of the Society of Georgia Archivists. She's a dedicated member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the Links Incorporated. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Andrea Jackson Gavin.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. You all can hear me okay? I'm going to share my screen. Trust that you all can see this okay, or somebody will let me know. Thank you so much to the entire DLF Forum team. I want to thank Jennifer Ferretti and also extend my best wishes to her. I appreciate so much that DLF has been so welcoming, inviting, and just a wonderful partner to HBCUs in general. This invitation was unexpected, but certainly is a pleasure to be with you all today. And I want to shout out all my HBCU folks that are here and on the forum planning committee. I saw a few names that I know, and I know some will be presenting later as well. And of course, my Harvard Library colleagues, hello. Jennifer Ferretti, I really appreciate knowing her. She is a member of the advisory committee to the HBCU Digital Library Trust, and she has been so active and engaged, and I thank her tremendously for that. So today I will talk about advancing the HBCU Digital Library Trust through relationship building. That is really the core of my work as program director for the trust. I call it the HBCU Trust for short. So if I say that, then you know what I'm talking about. Our website is there, the hbcutrust.org. We actually are just launching it, so check it out. Let me know what you think. And it will also lead you to our HBCU Digital Collection, which is where all the riches really are. And I'll also show that in a little bit. So, you know, I hate to read the screen, but I'll read a little bit. Our mission at the HBCU Digital Library Trust is to build capacity with historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, to digitally preserve and provide global access to archival collections, sustain institutional, cultural, and community memory, and ensure stories are discovered, maintained, remembered, and told. And throughout my presentation, you'll see some images from our HBCU Digital Collection. The one featured here, I have captioned information for all of them, so I won't read that, but it's from Tennessee State University. And I have to just shout out Wilma Rudolph on the far right, a special hero to many of us, and certainly myself. And our vision with trust at the forefront, and now you'll hear me talk about trust. We acknowledge and celebrate the undeniable lived experiences and legacy of Black people by being the preeminent digital repository network of HBCU archival collections. And it's only fitting to have such a preeminent scholar, Black intellectual, human being, and a sociologist who really called out racism and its impact on our society, our country, our world, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. And that image, of course, is from Morgan State University, is referenced there. I want to share that the mission and vision was, we had an idea of what it might be, but we wanted to get some input from our advisory committee. And so we facilitated a session and really had our advisory committee help us craft the mission and vision. And so again, with relationship building, it's important to know who's there and who's at the table, and to have the right people at the table. So we have a great body of HBCU alum, HBCU library directors, archivists, faculty members, as well as individuals who are very knowledgeable, very experienced with digital collections, digital initiatives, and others representing cultural heritage institutions like the Smithsonian, and other historical societies, state historical societies. And so those people were able to help us frame, what's really important, what we're trying to do with the HBCU Digital Library Trust. Love this picture. It's an image that we use a lot in our promotions. It's from Atlanta University Center, Woodruff Library, which you heard in my bio is really where I spent the majority of my career, 17 plus years, I think. And so prior to coming to Harvard, where I am now employed, really kind of built my professional career at Atlanta University Center. So anyway, I see myself in these graduates and really want to say that my presentation is in honor of them because what I do is built upon what they did, what they created, what they left a legacy for us to follow in and to document and to share broadly with the world. So I'm excited about that. I find that sometimes when I do presentations, I've gotten so far and I haven't showed what the digital collection is. And isn't that the most important thing? So let me do that. I'm going to stop my share briefly and take you to our website, which is, as I mentioned, the HBCUtrust.org. Let me share here. All right, I think y'all can see this. This is our website, as mentioned, and it's got, of course, lots of images from our HBCU digital collections. You scroll down, learn a little bit more about who we are, and most importantly, explore the HBCU Digital Collection. And so this is our portal, a really special place for us. We hope that you'll spend some time and look around. I am going to click here so you can see HBCU Digital Collection, this purple box. Also check out our services and resources. That's really important as well. So HBCU Digital Collection, we have 25 institutions here. You can search individually in collections, or you can search across collections. You can search across all of them, or you can search across some of them. This is a content DM platform, and it has been very user-friendly over the years. We have over 16,700, I think, items presently. And so we're really proud of this and proud of the expansion and the growth that we will be seeing over the next few years. So hopefully you saw your institution represented or one that you love. And if you didn't, please let's talk and figure out how we can add you to the HBCU Digital Collection. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I know that you all will after my presentation, but I did want to just show you, not only do we have images, we also have video, we have audio. I'm going to quickly click on this just so you can see and hear. Let me make sure that you can hear my sound. Yes. This is a video from 2004, which to me was yesterday. I imagine you feel the same way, but the video was 20 years ago. I'll mute myself for just
Good morning. We welcome you to the 22nd Annual Civil Rights Heritage Tour. The tour travels from Atlanta and visits many of the historic sites in the state of Alabama, where significant civil rights and voting rights activities occurred. We're happy to have you with us on the tour.
So I just wanted to share that with you really quickly, just so that you could make sure that you take some time and visit our digital collection and learn more about HBCUs and the resources that we have. We are especially welcoming more AV materials so that we can hear many of the voices of our HBCU students, faculty, administrators, alum, and audio and video. You know, just there's nothing like it, nothing like hearing people. And of course, you can see them with a lot of the images, but you know, hearing voices is really special as well. Kind of follows along with the oral tradition, of course, that a lot of African Americans believe strongly in, as well as other cultural groups. And so please spend some more time in our digital collection. Our partners are all HBCUs. So there are 100+ HBCUs, which educate so many African-American professionals, academicians, doctors, lawyers, scientists, PhDs, primarily come from HBCUs. And I am proud to be in that number as an alum and also as a staff member previously at HBCUs. Of course, the HBCU Library Alliance, who is a great partner to CLEAR and DLF. I know that there are many HBCU Library Alliance members on the call today on the conference over the next couple of days. And I appreciate that DLF provided a special rate for HBCU staff to also attend. Harvard Library, my employer, is supporting this initiative through the Harvard and Legacy of Slavery initiative. Harvard is supporting through a donation of $6 million, as well as other supportive professional development opportunities and resources as are requested, desired, needed, etc. And so I'm happy to be a member of Harvard Library now and working with this initiative in particular. Our digitization hub, where HBCUs will share their materials, is the Atlanta University Center Woodruff Library. Atlanta University Center, AUC Woodruff Library, has been the digital collection repository host for many years since its inception in 2006. And the launch in 2008 of that digital collection all the way to now. And so, and that will continue. And so it made good sense that they would continue as a host as well as serve as a digitization hub. They have a wonderful digital services department and lab, which I'll share more about soon. And so these are our partners. People. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about building with other people. And so I wanted you to see some of the members of the advisory committee, top left, and some staff from the AUC Woodruff Library. I won't call out all of these people, but I do want to point out the bottom right image are Atlanta University Center Woodruff Library staff and Harvard Library staff. We had a visit to Harvard and you know, strategize, visit their library and digital services units, and met with a lot of people. And so that was a great meeting back right before I started a year ago in this position. And so I do want to call out just a few people: Martha Whitehead, who's university librarian and a little longer title at Harvard Libraries. And Dr. Kimberly Bugg, who is the CEO and library director of the AUC Woodruff Library. And I will mention Loretta Parham, who is now retired, but started with this initiative as the CEO and library director of AUC Woodruff Library. Jerome Offord at Harvard has done so much as well, and Christine Wiseman and so many others, Suzanne Wones. I can't call them all out, but I just wanted to share that you may know some people here, and so I wanted to let you know that you may be more connected to the HBCU Digital Library Trust than you even knew. So please reach out to me and others that you see pictured to learn more about the initiative. So we have many collaborative goals. Of course, we want to increase the number of contributing institutions to our digital collection. As mentioned, I mean, it's just HBCUs. That is our target contributors. And so that's who we are working with for this collection. We will, of course, promote archival preservation and digitization, other collaborations to document and safeguard African American history and the history of HBCUs. We will expand the open and public access to archives and special collections of HBCUs. That's already being done. And we will continue to build upon what has already been created by HBCU Library Alliance, with partnership and support from Cornell University, as well as Mellon Foundation, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. So we thank them for their support in the initial launch of the HBCU Digital Collection. I must also stop briefly and just acknowledge Sandra Phoenix of HBCU Library Alliance and Adrian Weber, who is the board chair for the HBCU Library Alliance and also library director for Grambling State University, who are also on our team. And you all may know Peter Hurdle and Ira Revels, who were the leads for the initial project. So I want to definitely shout them out. I had an opportunity to work with them on the initial creation of the HBCU Digital Collection as a curator of archives at the AUC Woodruff Library way back in 2006. So we will also, of course, support professional development opportunities for implementation of best practices. And really, this is a mutually beneficial thing. This is understanding expertise on all levels with all partners, understanding that we do things differently, but how can we work together to come up with standards and collaborate on new standards of how we do things, and also look at, standards that have been in place for a long time for best practices. We will, of course, implement plans for sustainability, our preservation, and long-term preservation of these materials. So the services. We will, of course, provide free digitization and supplies. That's what this HBCU Digital Library Trust is all about. We will feature hosting, maintenance, and long-term preservation strategies for the digital collection. That's been happening, and we will continue that with greater support and greater collaboration. And we'll assist with inventorying and selection of materials and basic preservation techniques. So happy to have our digitization project manager on board, Kendall Barksdale. Some of you may have met her at the in-person DLF at Michigan State. By the way, that's my hometown, and I was so sad to miss it. I grew up on that campus with my parents who were administrators there, and I was so sad to miss it, but school was starting, I think, the very next day here in Atlanta for my kids. But I hope you all had a great time there in my hometown. But we're happy to have Kendall Barksdale on board as our digitization project manager, and Sasha Jalan, who is our traveling archivist. She is one of the people that will travel to HBCUs and assist with that selection and inventorying as necessary. And we will, of course, cultivate a network of HBCU archivists, special collection staff for professional development and knowledge sharing. We have already participated in the HBCU First Responders, the Copyright First Responders cohort for HBCUs. It's first of its kind. Partnered with Harvard Libraries on that, and that was a wonderful program. We had about 100 participants come regularly to participate in that Copyright First Responders program. So thank Kyle Courtney from Harvard for that. Digitization hub equipment at Atlanta University Center Woodruff Library includes what you see here pictured, several flatbed scanners, planetary scanners. We have capacity to do some VHS and audio cassette reformatting. However, a bulk AV materials are sent out to our vendors, very trusted vendor right here in Georgia, or we can work with HBCUs if they have a trusted vendor that's closer to them. We are excited about the DT Atom Phase 1 digital camera system that is now been purchased and available for use at the lab. And I have to go back, that's a beautiful picture of our staff working with that. And so we go into building relationships. I've been talking about building relationships all throughout, but basically these are the elements that I find to be most important in terms of my building relationships. Trust is at the center, it's at the core, but mutual respect and common goals, authenticity and communication and compromise. And what I want to say about compromise is that it ties really well with mutual respect. Understanding expertise is everywhere we go. Every HBCU has expertise. Our partners have expertise, and it's understanding that there are compromises. We want to make sure that everything is mutually beneficial and that people see the value in participating in this initiative. So our existing collaborators, existing and new collaborators, we are having to do introductions with all of them. The reason for this is back in 2006, you had a set of library directors and staff that were working on this initiative, but now we have new staff and we have new administrators. And so we're having to rebuild those relationships, reestablish connections, and sharing why it's valuable to revisit this. You've contributed several items from your archives, but we need more. How can we do more? And so many of our institutions, of course, have digital collections and repositories of their own, or they've partnered with other maybe state level repositories. And we have to show that there is strong value in being able to search across HBCUs. Being able to search across 2 or 3 or the whole breadth of our HBCUs, seeing some similarities, seeing diversity and all of that. And so that is really what makes this special. We do have opportunities to harvest information. So it's not that everything has to be newly digitized, but we want to make things accessible and searchable across the collections. And for our new contributors, we are engaging with them in various ways. We are visiting HBCUs. We are having them to come to the digitization hub. You'll see images from Tuskegee University, Bethune-Cookman University. We visited Tuskegee. Bethune-Cookman, they actually came to us and they said that it was great coming to us because they really got a chance to see the technology that was there at the digitization hub, got to meet staff, got to learn what was, what was so important about this initiative from us directly and spend some time together. And so that was really useful. And that's actually us in the center talking about their materials that were shipped to Atlanta University Center and really going through those materials, identifying and even enhancing metadata on site. Here are just some images from some of our other visits: Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Little Rock, Nashville, Tennessee. We visited several institutions and just talked to them about their collections. We want to learn about the collections just as much as we want to encourage contribution. And as I mentioned, we have over 16,000 materials. And so you'll see how page views and analytics look over the years. We actually started in 2014 collecting analytics, and you'll see that in 2024, we had a big boom back up, and we expect that to continue to grow. But you'll see in 2020, it starts going back up, pandemic. Institutions are leaning on all of their digital resources at this time. And so those that were promoting their the HBCU Digital Collection on their own websites, probably it started promoting them even more to say, oh, you can't come into the library. Here are some digital, online, openly accessible materials that you can access. And in our newsletter, we wanted to kind of focus on collections, do a spotlight. I call it Captured. In the newsletter for some of our early initial contributors. You'll see Payne College, Miles College, and tying it into current activities. So the Miles College feature talked about the first African-American woman graduate. And then it tied in the fact that they have a woman president right now. And so, we as a historian, I'm interested in this. I'm interested in the stories behind the pictures. And so wanted to call that out in our newsletter and highlight that. And I think there'll be opportunities later to even enhance how we share how we share the importance of the collections going forward and the background. I also wanted people to know that I'm a daughter of HBCUs. I'm a granddaughter of HBCUs. I'm an alumna of an HBCU. And so that I think helps to build with trust. I'll kind of breeze through these, but wanted you to know that the AUC Woodruff Library will be part of the OCLC development partner program, and it by extension, because this is the HBCU Digital Collection, our HBCUs will be at that table too to offer feedback and to provide information on what can be done to support greater content through this cloud-based content DM platform. And so we're excited to work with OCLC, and AUC Woodruff Library staff knows that, we want opportunities for our HBCUs to partner in that and continue to build relationships that I think can be useful for content DM, OCLC staff and administrators in the future down the line as well. We will also partner with the HBCU Library Alliance, who is now transitioning from Meta Archive to Alabama Digital Preservation Network. The entire HBCU Digital Collection will be a part of this new ADP net, and we're looking forward to that. So again, HBCUs will have a front row, to really what that network looks like, and experience being a part of that as members of the HBCU Library Alliance. So I will kind of close out with just relationship building and collaborative initiatives. I think some of these things you all know about, but emotional intelligence, if I had to pick one to really discuss, I think it would be that, just really understanding who you're talking to, what are the politics, what can you do, what can you not do? And I'll share this lastly. I know we need to break, so hopefully we can get some questions in. We were talking to an institution that unfortunately was struggling with some accreditation issues. So we were all set to have this 30-minute discussion presentation on why they needed to add more materials to their existing, collection in the HBCU Digital Collection. After 5 minutes, we knew that conversation was inappropriate at this time. What was appropriate was hearing from our colleague about what she might need. What could the library use? Was there something that we could do? We didn't have our traveling archivist on board just yet, but now she is. At some point, does it make sense for the traveling archivist to come and visit and help assist with anything? But the point is, being emotionally intelligent, we knew that a presentation on HBCU Digital Library Trust was really the last thing she probably wanted to hear about, because that's not the activity or the action that administrators at that institution were interested in that time. Doesn't mean that they won't be interested later. Doesn't mean that we won't continue to build that relationship, but just really need to be emotionally intelligent about it. And the others, you can see kind of self-explanatory. I will end there so we can hopefully have some questions and answer period. But I had to have this beautiful picture of Miss Southern, the 50th Miss Southern from that golden year of 1980, a special year. So thank you so much for your time, and welcome some questions.
Wonderful, Andrea. Thank you so much for that. So we have 10 minutes for questions, and we have a few already in the Q&A. So if you want to read along as if you want to read along while I say them out loud. Okay, so the first question is a good one. As someone who has seen consortial groups struggle to build consensus and shared definitions around digital preservation work, I'm curious about how you're doing the work of getting people on the same page. Given the high costs of robust preservation storage, are you requiring contributors to the project to articulate collecting policies or anything along those lines?
Great questions. Yes, we are. So I didn't touch on this at all, but we are not declaring what has to be a part of the collection, but we are giving some suggestions. But what we know as a part of expertise is that each institution knows what's most important there. They know what their patrons are interested in. They know what their faculty are interested in, and their students, etc. So while we do have some guidelines, we have some suggestions, we have things that we know faculty broadly are interested in, and others, researchers, we want the institutions to understand, you know, and we respect their authority and their expertise to know what needs to be there. But we are also encouraging people to do AV materials while there's funding. We know that AV can be so expensive for reformatting and digitization. And so we're saying, hey, you know, if you know you have some, you know, great footage that would be really beneficial to add to contribute to the HBCU Digital Collection. Let's do that now when we know we have good support, good funding for that. And so those are some things that, you know, we will do. Metadata is another one that we have some guidelines around, but our staff, the digitization project manager certainly has lots of ideas, plans for metadata that they do, but they work collaboratively. And that's something that we've discussed at length. We will not ignore any local authorities, local subject description. I mean, that is important. They are the authorities. We want to learn from them and respect what they know about their collections.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Lauren asks, thank you for sharing your work with us. I have a number of faculty members at the University of Houston who are interested in building something similar related to African American Studies departments. Is there interest in expanding beyond HBCUs to aggregate those early African American Studies departments and their collections?
At this time, no, not with this particular project. However, absolutely, I do think that that's something that would be of interest for another project and for something that I think the HBCU collection could, you know, link to and help cross promote and all of that. I think it's, you know, obviously it's a different topic, but even HBCUs, some developed African American Studies departments later than some PWIs, predominantly white institutions. And so they being a part of a collection like that would be important as well. The development of their African American Studies departments, you know, could be a part of a broader just look at academia and how those African American or other ethnic studies departments were developed.
Great. I think you answered this, but if you could tell us again, Megan asked, how is your program funded?
Yeah, so right now it is funded through Harvard Library and particularly the Harvard and Legacy of Slavery Initiative. There's a lot of information online about that initiative, but it really, there's a whole recommendation there that Harvard Library Harvard University looked to partner with HBCUs. And they have actually done a lot of work in this regard. And so the HBCU Digital Library Trust is one such initiative of that. And I want to say, as mentioned before, Mellon created Mellon funding and a partnership with HBCU Library Alliance and Cornell University really kicked off the initial HBCU Digital Collection back in 2006.
Thank you. Irina asks, I see items for your collection have been aggregated by Umber Search. Can you share more about that process and decision-making about what gets aggregated in there?
You know, I actually can't discuss that at length, but I thank you for that question. I remember when I was learning a lot about Umber Search, and I know that they, you know, have an interest in African American collections overall. I would not have been a part of that conversation, so I apologize. I can't answer that question very well. But if you have a strong interest in it, please reach out to me by email and I will connect with my colleague, Christine Wiseman, who is over the digital services department at AUC Woodruff Library, who can absolutely answer that better.
Wonderful. My friend Don asks, I'm curious to hear the details of how assets get to the trust. For example, do partners choose an asset, get it digitized, provide metadata, and send it to the trust for publishing and hosting?
Can be that, or we offer the digitization services at AUC Woodruff Library at the digitization hub. And as digitization, as more HBCUs come on board over the next year, the intention is that another digitization hub will be developed at another HBCU. So we're hopeful for that, and they would partner with the AUC Woodruff Library. That is the plan. But yes, we provide all the costs for shipping materials to Atlanta to be digitized at the hub. But if an institution already has digitization capabilities and want to, just do the work themselves, we will absolutely take the files and input them, upload them, and we can collaborate on metadata. So of course, there are some things that we know we want to have as part of the metadata, but again, we need to rely on the information from the original institution, but we can collaborate together on that as necessary.
Great. I think we have time for maybe one more. Another friend, Gina, thank you for your presentation. Why did you choose Content DM for the HBCU Digital Collections project? And what do you feel are the drawbacks and bonuses of using the platform?
Thank you. And I'll just ask Jennifer, if you don't mind, I know we're going to close out after this, but I will try to read the other questions after this too. I know we can't get to them, but I just want to read them. Content DM was chosen for the original instance of the HBCU Digital Collection. So it has been the platform for the entire time since 2006. And I think it was chosen at that time because of great flexibility, ease, and use. I know I was one of the archivists who had a digitization technician from AUC Woodruff Library, and that was a system that was really easy. We were trained on it. And I don't want to say really easy, but I mean, to me, it was very user-friendly. And so I think that is why Content DM was chosen back then. I assume also there were probably some good relationships with OCLC. I know over the years that some of the participants and contributors to the HBCU Digital Collection have also, been a part of OCLC on board and all of that. But that was above my pay grade at the time.
And for all the unanswered questions, I am copying and pasting them, so I'll be sure to send them your way, Andrea. Maybe just one more from James. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. This is very impressive work on the hosting and access side, and I'm interested in hearing more about the preservation side, especially as it integrates with Content DM. How are you doing fixity checks, maintaining multiple copies, etc.?
Yes, so we have a lot of servers. We have good servers as part of this initiative. So of course, we have the access and master files, and we of course are a part of the, as I mentioned, ADPNet and the meta archives. And so we are preserving those, master files, with the long-term preservation. So all of that is being done. And I will also share that for institutions who, of course, send their materials to be digitized, they also get a copy of their files, of course, and they can do whatever they want with them afterwards. We are not a for-profit entity in any way. And so I want people to hear this. Once those materials are digitized, they are, for the use of the institution, they are still their materials. And so they have the rights and the ownership that are associated. And so unlike, some for-profit entities, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but, sometimes there are restrictions on what can be done after digitization is completed and upload. That is not the case here. So, that's a partial answer to your question.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andrea, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for contributing your questions. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual DLF forum. And I will drop the questions that are unanswered into the session notes and make sure that you see them, Andrea, so you can respond to them if you'd like. Thank you, everybody.
Good to see you all. Take care. Enjoy the conference.